different. You are not. "24 hours after inauguration, President Tinubu and Vice President Shettima settled down for business unusual."
The President has already made pronouncements yesterday on the issue of the fuel subsidy.
What are the expectations from the new administration?
It's a time for the renewed hope for Nigeria.
3 to die by hanging for murdering students of Obafemi Awolowo University.
The 3 of them, including the 7th defendant, have been convicted for conspiracy to commit murder and murder.
Federal government versus ASU. Court upholds no work, no pay policy. Hello and welcome to the Network News on NTA. I am Elizabeth Omori. Reading tonight with me is Adjola Komiakere in Lagos. President Ahmed Bola Tinubu and the Vice President Kashim Shettima resumed duty at the presidential villa in Abuja after their swearing in. State House correspondent Jide Onifade gives us details.
President Bola Tinubu came into the villa at exactly 2:30 p.m. and was received on arrival by Vice President Kashim Shettima, who had earlier resumed duty 2 hours before the arrival of the president. Speaker House of Representatives Femi Gbajabiamila, James Faleke, and the Central Bank of Nigeria's Governor Godwin Emefiele, as well as Dele Alake, were also on hand to receive the president. Others include State House Permanent Secretary Tijani Umar, outgoing and incoming directors of protocols, the Director of Administration, and other senior officials. The president had during his campaign, and as a reference to his preparation, said he would hit the ground running on the first day after his swearing in. Meanwhile, Vice President Kashim Shettima says there are multiple issues to address, including the issue of subsidy removal, which he says must be done for the country to have a headway towards achieving desired development.
Well, the President has already made pronouncements yesterday on the issue of the fuel subsidy. The truth of the matter is that we either get rid of the fuel subsidy or the fuel subsidy gets rid of the Nigerian nation. In 2022, we spent $10 billion subsidizing the ostentatious lifestyle of the upper class of the society, because you and I benefit 90% from the oil subsidy. The poor 40% of Nigerians benefit very little from the fuel subsidy. And we know the consequences of unveiling a masquerade. We'll get fierce opposition from those benefiting from the oil scam, fuel subsidy scam. But where there is a will, there is a way. Be rest assured that our president is a man of strong will and conviction. And in the fullness of time, you will come to appreciate his noble intentions for the nation. The issue of fuel subsidy is going to be promptly addressed. The earlier we do so, the better.
Vice President Shettima says the Tinubu administration is determined to catapult the nation into greatness. In the State House, Jide Onifade, NTA News.
And expectations from a cross-section of Nigerians have continued to provoke issues from the newly inaugurated administration. Ismail Musa tells us more.
It's a time for the renewed hope for Nigeria. We're very excited because the President, Asiwaju Ahmed Tinubu, is a tested and trusted leader.
Just like one of the slogans of the ceremony, better together. Nigerians took turns to express their expectations on the new administration.
So there's the issue of insecurity, there's the issue of rebuilding Nigeria's economy.
They have to consider the role of a monarch in their constitution. Not subjected us to local government job to be our boss.
I want the government to improve in creating more jobs for the graduates.
To be able to work on the welfare and well-being of Nigerians, to fight insecurity, to fight poverty, to fight unemployment, to fight industrialization, to ensure that Nigeria becomes that country that it should be.
Wish the government a very sustainable tenure and a much better tenure than the one that has just passed. It's all for us and we're very glad. We should make it much better.
In Abuja, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
Still on expectations from the new administration, Nigerian women have expressed confidence that the new administration will improve the welfare of citizens. This, the opinion of some of them who shared their views with correspondent Ngozi Teknikyo.
It is a new dawn for Nigeria with the mantra of renewed hope, and the women are hopefully projecting a future where they will be relevant in the scheme of things.
We expect peace. We expect there should be equity in all that they are going to be doing. We expect that economy will be revived.
And I assure you that the president has a very powerful lady by his side, the wife. She is also a female chauvinist, just like me.
We want women to be given their rightful position.
Going by the campaign promises of the new administration, 35% affirmative action for women, they say, is a done deal.
I'm telling you, I have the hope that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu will meet up with the 35%. Baba has done very well.
I want to stand here and tell you that I'm 100% sure and have confidence on the First Lady, because she is the patron of the National Council for Women's Society.
A lot of women were phased out in the election. The surest way is to compensate them by giving them more appointments.
Applauding his predecessor for establishing women desks in some ministries, more are still expected.
In the past, we were even agitating for 35%, but presently we are saying 50% equal.
And with what we have seen already so far, we can see that this new government is ready to work with the women and the men on mostly equal capacity.
Ngozi Teknikyo, NTA News.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has again been advised to assemble a think tank that will advance short and long-term critical policy initiatives for the country. Discussing President Tinubu's inaugural address on NTA's Good Morning Nigeria, a variety of experts emphasized the need for the new administration to invest in peace building and address grievances immediately in order to have a smooth government. Ekemini Williams tells us more.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu took the oath of office as president yesterday with a pledge to be a president for all, irrespective of circumstances of history or political difference. He unveiled his administration's blueprints and vowed to defend the country from terror and criminality. The president also promised an end to the fuel subsidy, a decision which has generated a ripple effect across the country. Experts on the program say the blueprint unveiled by President Tinubu has rekindled hope for a better Nigeria, but must have short and long-term implementation plans.
By saying that fuel subsidy is over, the next hour, people are already reacting to that policy statement. So I do hope that he will take a very big lesson from this, that before governments make policy statements, before top political leaders say anything, they have to weigh the consequences at all levels. What have I put in place as a deterrence mechanism to some of these actions?
They decried the polarization and radicalization of the country along ethnic, religious and political lines and advised the new government to bring together think tanks from all geopolitical zones and groups to develop an engagement strategy to address these issues. They also suggested public engagement and revisiting previous policy recommendations on how to address the grassroots challenges in the country.
We have to tap from all available resources including the very humongous and big documents, 670 pages with recommendations that came from that national conference.
Ensure that you have a cabinet in place immediately as soon as it is feasible to do that. You also have your key, what you call the kitchen cabinet, in place. Component of the society is touched. When I say component, I am talking about all the ethnic areas that you'll be looking at, the regional areas. Then you're looking at all the religious areas. But you have to touch other areas. I mean, we have experts in everywhere. You know, Nigerians are experts.
The experts were optimistic that President Tinubu will address the worries of patriotic Nigerians. In Abuja, Ekemini Williams, NTA News.
On the subsidy removal, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu had a closed-door meeting with the Group Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation Limited, Mele Kyari. Also at the meeting was the Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, Farouk Ahmed, and the Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele. Details of the discussions were not made known, but further expressing the position of government on subsidy removal at a press briefing after the meeting, Mele Kyari says the nation can no longer afford payment of subsidy on petroleum products.
By virtue of the provisions of the law and also the Appropriation Act 2023, it is no longer available for that funding. And we are very convinced today that the country can no longer fund this subsidy bill and they will not be able to pay NNPC. And therefore, we are pleased to note Mr. President's commitment to elimination of this subsidy because they can't afford it anymore. And we will take necessary steps to ensure that we recover our costs from the market, and also being mindful of the fact that, you know, a situation like this can lead to exploitation of customers, and we're also working with the regulator who is here with me to see how we can cap any such excessive management of greed, to say the least. And this will be contained by virtue of the provisions of law.
I can assure you that as an NDPRA, we are ready to license anybody that wants to import, because NNPC has always been the supplier of premium motor spirit. However, with the removal of subsidy, as pronounced by Mr. President, that has opened the floodgate for any intended marketer or company that wants to import premium motor spirit in the country. We are ready to issue licenses or permits for them to do so. At least that will open more competition, and the NNPC now will reduce, of course, the burden. There will be less burden on NNPC to continue with this. So.
Meanwhile, the House of Representatives has moved a motion in support of the pronouncement of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on removal of subsidy, appealing to Nigerians to be patient and prayerful to enable the present administration fulfill its promises. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports that the issue was raised as a matter of urgent public importance during Tuesday's plenary.
The first plenary after the presidential inauguration, House members, in reference to the inaugural address of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, noted that funds hitherto used for subsidy will be channeled for reforms in education, health, agriculture, security, and infrastructural developments. They believe legislative support to the policy will go a long way in enhancing development and delivering the dividends of democracy to citizens across the country.
Is a concerned senior citizens whose agenda is to favor the downtrodden for the purpose of humanity, to salute his courage and boldness to serve our country, Nigeria, with honesty and integrity.
We wish this new administration good luck, all the best. We are all very hopeful. We believe that it's a new dawn in Nigeria. Congratulations to each and every one of us.
The House has, as recommended by the Committee on AIDS, Loans and Debt Management, approved federal government's request to reimburse 16.7 billion naira by issuance of promissory notes to Borno State government
for project executed on behalf of the federal government.
Meanwhile, the House has considered and approved an amendment of the National Assembly Library Trust Fund to provide additional source of fund for the management of the library and build capacity of lawmakers and staff of the legislature. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
And the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority is engaging key players in the sector as well as monitoring petrol stations nationwide to avoid hoarding and high cost of the product by some marketers likely to take advantage of the total subsidy removal pronouncement. Lydia Sampson reports that the intention of the removal remains the protection and not exploitation of Nigerians.
Total deregulation of the petroleum downstream subsector has been described by experts as a development long overdue if the Nigerian oil and gas industry is to function optimally, drive investment and sustainable growth.
We believe that this will free resources for the NNPC to continue to do the great works that this company will do for our country, and it allows us to continue to function as a very commercial entity.
I'm encouraging all the marketing companies to continue their normal business and ensure that there's flow of petroleum products so that there won't be any energy crisis in the country.
For motorists, the news is being received with mixed feelings, resulting in panic buying to stockpile the product in anticipation of price increase. Others, however, applauded what they called the bold step being taken by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Yes, this is for our own good, and I guess this decision that the president is taking is a very good decision.
As of this morning, we even discharged our 50,000 liters of petrol, and we are selling at 195 as usual. There are a lot of issues of panic buying since yesterday.
I think the leaders should know the best thing. If it's good for us, they should go ahead.
Meanwhile, the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, during monitoring and enforcement, ensured the reopening of petrol stations which were closed to motorists.
The moment they saw the vehicle of the task force, they opened up, but they had closed and stopped selling before. The same thing here. They were selling from just one nozzle. And it was taking so long. But when they saw the task force on the other side, they now started selling from 4 other nozzles.
I sell every day, and I used to sell all my products. I don't hoard my products.
Sanction is the first thing we are going to do because there is no reason for anybody to hold this product because it is what we saw was availability everywhere.
With the ongoing enforcement to ensure fuel is readily available at all filling stations across the country, NMDPRA is urging motorists to remain calm and resist the urge to stockpile products, reiterating that with continuous dispensing of petrol, there is optimism that the queues occasioned by panic buying will gradually disappear. In Abuja, Lydia Sampson, NTA News.
You're watching the Network News on NTA. Let's take a break now. More reports ahead. To stay with us. Welcome back. President Bola Tinubu directs the Department of State Security Service, DSS, to immediately vacate the office of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, in Ikoyi, Lagos. A statement by Tunde Rahman indicates that the directives followed a report insinuating that DSS officials invaded the EFCC office located at Awolowo Road, Ikoyi, Lagos on Tuesday, preventing officials of the anti-graft agency from accessing their workplace. The president stressed that issues between the two important government agencies should be resolved amicably. In other news, Dara Emirate Council in Katsina State organized a special Durbar in honor of former President Muhammadu Buhari for successfully serving the nation and humanity. The Durbar, which is essentially about horse riding, brought together high-profile personalities, including past ministers, heads of agencies, and traditional leaders.
Mai girma da kada babban daura Alhaji Abdulkarim Nafi'u Wandawa da kai aka gayya kasinan yayi jinkina yayi gaisuwa.
The Dara Emirate Council appreciates the large turnout of friends of the Emirates. Former President Muhammadu Buhari later acknowledged cheers from the crowd for the honor done him by his people in Dara and those from beyond. Prayers were also offered for the former Nigerian leader. Now, Senate has passed the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission Act Amendment Bill, which seeks, among other issues, to empower the Commission prosecute cases at Federal High Courts. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Nkwor reports that Senate approved the reimbursement of 16.7 billion naira to Borno State for government road projects carried out by the states.
Plenary commenced with President of the Senate Ahmad Lawan delivering congratulatory message to President Bola Tinubu, Vice President Kashim Shettima, and 28 state governors sworn in on Monday.
We pray for Almighty God to guide them and protect them, and our nation needs both the federal and the sub-nationals to work together for us to achieve any meaningful and sustainable development.
Senate passed the ICPC Act Amendment Bill, which seeks to strengthen the Commission, align its provisions with the Constitution, clear ambiguities, and provide for shared responsibility for a quicker service delivery, as it approved a jail term of 2 years for any person found guilty of false petition.
If you say 10 million, 20 million, the havoc that will be caused, somebody can give that kind of money, go and pay. But if you know that you'll be going to prison for 2 years or something, you will think twice.
Senator Beta Piafi made observations on why some sections should not be altered.
How can ICPC define abuse of process or procedure if, for instance, the Auditor General of the Federation has not audited that agency?
The bill that seeks to establish the Elite Sheriff Corps, sponsored by Senator Aline Dume, passed second reading. Senate approved the report of Itadel Committee on the Niger Delta Development Commission, which recommended, among other issues, to enforce timeline for the submission of the Commission's annual budget, and approved its 2021 and 2022 budget. Chief Whip of the Senate, Oji Uzo Kalu, has described the swearing-in of Bola Tinubu and Kashim Shettima as a good sign for Nigeria. He urged the new government to pay critical attention, especially to security and reduction in the cost of governance.
Some of the ministries and parastatals are no longer viable. If I'm issue, something like Minister of Niger Delta, some of those ministries are no longer viable to be ministries. We have ADDC, like we have the Northeast Development Commission, they have no ministry.
The Chief Whip also announced that he and the former governor of Zamfara State, Senator-elect Abdulaziz Yari, are in consultation to ensure a better leadership in the 10th Senate. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
Let's shift attention to the judiciary. The Presidential Election Petition Court has adjourned to 2nd of June 2023, the hearing of the petition filed by the Allied People's Movement. The adjournment is to enable parties in the petition obtain certified true copy of the Supreme Court's judgment delivered on the 26th of May 2023 and its effect on the APM petition, which borders on alleged double nomination of the Vice President Kashim Shettima. Judiciary correspondent Austin Aibe reports.
Counsel to Bola Ahmed Tinubu Wole Olanipekun, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, drew the attention of the court to the Supreme Court's judgment on the issue of nomination of Vice President Kashim Shettima upon commencement of hearing, saying the subject matter in the petition of the Allied People's Movement has been decided upon, as proceeding with same may amount to waste of the precious time of the court. Both the petitioner and the respondent's counsel agree with him, but urge the court to give them time to apply to the Supreme Court to obtain certified true copy of the judgment, to study the details and see if it has any effect on the petition. The court did not disagree and adjourned to 2nd June for further hearing. Meanwhile, Labour Party and Peter Obi have called their first witness to support their claim of non-qualification of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to be President of Nigeria. Adopting his written statement, Lawrence Uchechukwu Nwaiti, a lawyer during cross-examination, agreed with all issues contained in the deposition that the second respondent was convicted and fined in the U.S., but did not have a copy of certificate of any police officer in the U.S. to that effect, rather one issued by the sheriff. With no real examination, he was discharged. In a related proceeding, counsel to Atiku Abubakar and PDP Cruz Uche, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, commenced by tendering series of documents that were certified and paid for. These include INEC from EC8E, which is a summary of results, EC8E series for 36 states of the Federation and the FCT, from ECG, from EC40G, which have to do with printout of beavers polling unit by polling unit for Abia, Adamawa, Akwa Ibom, and Anambra states. Also tendered is INEC certified copy of number of registered voters in Abia, Adamawa, Anambra, and Bauchi states. With no objection to almost all the documents, the court admitted and marked them as exhibits as evidence of the petitioners. Hearing continues tomorrow at the court, with Peter Obi and Labour Party expected to call more witnesses, while the legal team of Atiku Abubakar and People's Democratic Party expected to tender more documents and also call witnesses. From the Court of Appeal, Abuja, Austin Anyebe, NTA News.
We now take you to Osun State, where the High Court sitting in the state has sentenced the owner of Hilton Hotel Ile-Ife, Osun, Raymond Adedoyin, and 2 of his staff to death by hanging over the murder of Timothy Adegoke, a postgraduate student of Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife. The Chief Judge of Osun State, Bola Adekpeleojo, who gave the judgment, acquitted and discharged 3 other suspects in the case. Femi Afariogun tells us more.
Timothy Adegoke, a master's student of Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, lodged at Hilton Hotel on 5th of November 2021 before his alleged murder and corpse dumped along Ife-Ede Road. After the prime suspect, Raman Adedoyin, absconded, his father, who is the owner of the hotel, Raymond Adedoyin, and 6 other staff have been facing 18-count charge before a state high court sitting in Osogbo. Delivering judgment on the case, Justice Bola Adekpeleojo found Adedoyin and 2 of his managers, Adeniyi Aderogba and Oyetunde Kazim, who assisted to dump the corpse of Timothy by the roadside, burnt the evidence and doctored the record to show that Timothy did not lodge in the hotel guilty of many charges. Justice Adekpeleojo sentenced them to death by hanging, while they were also sentenced to serve different jail terms for other offenses committed. Oluwole Lawrence, Adebayo Kunle, and Magdalene Chifuna were freed by the court, having found not guilty.
So the 3 of them, including the 7 defendants, have been convicted for conspiracy to commit murder and murder. The late Timothy Adegoke did not die in vain.
Yeah, in line with the provisions of the law, we'll consult with our clients and take the necessary steps.
Part of the judgment was that Raman Adedoyin, son of the hotel owner, be declared wanted by Interpol, while the hotel and the Hilux vehicle used to convey the corpse of Timothy Adegoke be forfeited to the state government. The court also ordered that the children of late Timothy Adegoke be placed under sponsorship of the 3 convicted estates up to university level. The 7th defendant, Adeshola Adedeji's sentence was adjourned till Wednesday, May 30, after the prosecuting counsel appealed to the judge to temper judgment with mercy, saying she played a vital role in making the case solvable. In Osogbo, Femi Afariogun, NTA News.
And the National Industrial Court of Nigeria has held that members of the Academic Staff Union of Universities who embarked on industrial action in 2022 are not entitled to salary during the period which the strike lasted. Aliu Tukur reports.
Justice Benedict Kankpik held that employers and workers can enter an agreement for which the workers will be paid during the period of strike. But when such agreement is not reached, no worker is expected to get paid. Justice Kankpik added that imposing sanctions on leaders for leading a legal strike is a gross violation to their rights to freedom of expression. The court held that there was nothing before the court to prove that ASU was not peaceful during the industrial action. The court also held that the federal government cannot force ASU to accept payment through IPPIS so long as they confirm with their budgetary allocation. The court ruled that the federal government was wrong to have imposed IPPIS on ASU. It equally held that, in line with Section 18 of the Trade Dispute Act, no employer shall embark on lockout and no worker shall embark on an industrial action when trade dispute is apprehended and reconciliation ongoing. Justice Kampik says that the determination of a lockout has always been for the court to decide and not for the executive arm of the government. In Abuja, Aliu Tukur, NTA News.
Now let's talk security. In view of the dynamism in emerging security challenges, the Nigerian Army is further developing its structures and training facilities to enhance troops' capacities to combat threats. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa has details.
With this brief symbolic ceremony, the Nigerian Army has commenced the development of a state-of-art wargaming center for the prestigious Army War College in Abuja.
The event aligns with the Chief of Army Staff priorities in the area of enhancing training in the college.
The wargaming an integral part of the training of Army War College. That what we do at section level, at company level, at platoon level, company level, battalion level. So each one at one level also has those facilities, those aspects that are required to put into play and to practice what they have learned.
The Chief of Army Staff also performed the groundbreaking for a conference center and other facilities to support training of officers and soldiers of the Nigerian Army.
Let me use this opportunity to reiterate my vision for Nigerian Army, which is to have a professional Nigerian Army ready to accomplish a sound mission within a joint environment in defense of Nigeria.
We are to the specifics 3 buildings, 1 auditorium with 1,000 capacity, then conference center with 500 capacity, banquet hall with 1,000 capacity.
The Army enjoined Nigerians to cooperate with deployed troops in their areas to enhance proactive operations in combating threats. In Abuja, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
In other developments, a grand reception has been held by the people of Obiakpo local government area in honor of their son, the immediate past governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike. Rivers State Governor Simi Alai Fubara, who was at the event, appreciated the people for their support for his predecessor, which resulted in the level of achievements recorded during his tenure. Ogedinyekwe completes the story.
A gathering of the creme de la creme in Obiakpo local government area and their friends as they converge on the premises of Captain Ilichi Amade Polytechnic to honor one of their own, the immediate past governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike. The people are excited to welcome him back home, not just because he served the state in the capacity of governor, but for making them proud with remarkable achievements that go to the length and breadth of Rivers State, which earned him an award from former President Muhammadu Buhari as the best governor on infrastructure. Rivers State Governor Siminalaye Fubara appreciates the people of Obiakpo for giving the state a visionary leader. He says former Governor Wike impacted the state positively and never compromised his vision for the state, but followed them to the latter.
To congratulate you and to say you're a worthy son. That is why your people have to receive you and welcome you home. I join with the good people of Rivers State to say to the Obiakpo people, you did well.
Former Governor Wike, in an emotion-laden voice, was appreciative of his people for the recognition accorded him, thanking them for not abandoning him. He attributes his successes to their support, urging them to remain united as a local government area.
Sincerely, I want to thank the traditional rulers and the people of Obiakpo for this honor you've done to us. And I can tell you, I will not relent.
Chairman of the occasion, Senator John Mbata and others, in their separate goodwill messages, lauded Wike's achievements. The Obiakpo Council of Government Recognized Traditional Rulers, led by its chairman, Ezechike Woluwodo, conferred on former Governor Wike the chieftaincy title of Eze Okurume I of Obiakpo, meaning the king who keeps to his words. In Port Harcourt, Ogedinyekwe, NTA News.
Market women in Nigeria are keen into the initiative of the Central Bank of Nigeria that targets 95% financial inclusion by the year 2024. As Friends of Iyawoloja General Initiative collaborates with the government and private sector to empower women, youth and people with special needs. Bosede Ebo reports on the initiative.
According to the World Bank's collection of development indicators, women in Nigeria make up 49.47% of the population and essentially form a large chunk of the informal sector. They, however, have continued to encounter specific obstacles in tapping economic opportunities. Overcoming the obstacles is the reason for this gathering of the Friends of Iyaloja General Initiative to, among other things, renew the hope of the less privileged in the society. It is tagged A New Beginning for Women, Youth and Vulnerable Segments of the Society, setting the priorities.
We need to continue and ensure that we walk all the talks and we get to our promised land.
Our goal and concern is about Nigeria and to make Nigeria a better place.
And therefore, conversations like these should take strong cognizance of what we could do to serve them and get them to become citizens the more.
Being the maiden edition, it was an opportunity to brainstorm on issues peculiar to the target groups.
We will not relent in our effort, calling the attention of the government that ensuring that all the promises made is being kept.
To help the government take advantage of what programs the government have to empower these sectors we're talking about.
The initiative has proven vital in ensuring inclusion for women, youth and people living with disability to be heard, with no one being left behind. In Abuja, Bosede Ebo, NTA News.
This is the network news on NTA. It's time to head to Lagos, where Adiola is standing by with some reports. Hello, Adiola.
The best. With the inauguration of Bola Tinubu as the new president of the country, a cross-section of Nigerians have expressed their views on areas of concerns the new administration should focus on to move the country forward. Joel Popola reports.
Government is said to be continuum, and as the President Muhammadu Buhari-led administration bowed out after completion of 8 years tenure, Nigerians are expecting President Bola Tinubu's administration to focus on certain areas that will stimulate growth. They say declaring state of emergency in the power sector, reviewing interest rates and stabilizing the foreign exchange policy of the nation will boost Nigeria's economy.
He must be careful in making appointments by ensuring that he puts the right pegs in round holes and square pegs in square holes. Because if care is not taken, when you try to give consideration to political patronage, you may end up putting wrong people that are not qualified, competent, and intelligent enough to handle specific assignments because of politics.
He wants the new administration to please improve on the security of the nation.
Create more job opportunity in the areas of infrastructural development.
Many believe there are high hopes for a brighter future as the new administration takes over the mantle of leadership and pilots the affairs of the nation. In Lagos, Joel Popola, NTA News.
To produce efficient military logisticians with requisite skills that will enable operational strategies to be successful during peacekeeping missions in the ECOWAS region, the Nigerian Army College of Logistics and Management, in collaboration with ECOWAS, organized a 5-day training for officers and men, as well as representatives from ECOWAS member states. Larry Belei reports that the theme of the program is training on operational level logistics in ECOWAS peace support operation.
Effective logistics have always led to successful military operations. Bearing this in mind, the need to have a well-trained personnel that can deliver the needed logistical support in multidimensional peacekeeping operations has become imminent. Hence, the gathering of Army representatives from ECO states to brainstorm together. Declaring the training open, The Commandant, Nigerian Army College of Logistics and Management, NARCOM, Major General Adekunle Adeyinka, states that the training is timely.
The need for the training is because it is not just enough to have the right capacities and the right resources on ground and in place, but also how do these three components work together?
With the demand for ECOWAS to step up the fight against terrorism, ECOWAS officer on peacekeeping and regional security, Danjuma Ako, says the training program will improve the level of professionalism of army logisticians.
That's why we have brought their logisticians in their own right from the region, and therefore we need to bring them together to understand the dynamics in terms of how the different militaries and also the civilians and the police conduct logistic support to ECOWAS peace support operations.
The training, the Army and ECHO says that is a proactive means of getting ready for security challenges that might arise in the area. And one of the critical areas they have to look into is logistics, because logistics can make or mar any military operation. In Lagos, Larry Bileyi, NTA News.
And those are the stories from here. Do not forget to follow this news broadcast live on our website at nta.ng/live and on our other social media handles displayed on the screen for updates. More reports with Elizabeth in Abuja after this time out to stay.
You're still watching the network news. The newly appointed Acting Comptroller General of Immigration Service, Caroline Uraola Adepoju, has directed all passport offices nationwide to take necessary steps to ensure no Nigerian is subjected to any unnecessary delays or substandard treatments in the course of applying for passports. She read the Right Act while addressing top management of the service moments after taking over from Isa Idris, the immediate past CGRS. A statement by Tony Akuneme, Public Relations Officer, Nigeria Immigration Service, Adepoju commits to focusing on passport issues and staff welfare, as both will ensure a motivated workforce and take care of complaints of Nigerians. Until her recent appointment as Acting CGI, DCG, Adepoju was Deputy Comptroller General in charge of finance. Now, the West. Now let's take our last break. The news continues shortly. It's time for some sporting stories, and Olumide Eguntola will be our guide.
Flying Eagles' target remains the Under-20 World Cup trophy, but first they must neutralize Argentina's home support and firepower in Wednesday's clash with the host of the tournament. In one of the round of 16 matches, Argentina won all their group matches, scored 10 goals and conceded 1, while Flying Eagles scored 4 goals and conceded 3.
So it's going to be very, very dicey, and it's going to take something extra from Nadamboso's men to get a win against the Argentines.
Football is not mathematics, but my expectation, and I do not want Nigeria expectation to be higher than expected.
Although the game will be played in Argentina's home, but I don't think there's any reason why our boys won't come back victorious. My expectations are really high and I'm rooting for them.
Back home in Africa, the stage is set for the semi-final matches of the ongoing Under-20 Wafubi Nations Cup in Ghana at the Babayara Stadium on Wednesday. Nigeria is up against Benin Republic while Ghana takes on Burkina Faso. The Nigerian girls are poised to rule Africa again. In boxing, the organizers of the 127th edition of the Lagos Boxing Show paid more attention to the younger ones. A total of 10 bouts featured in different weight category at the Teslim Balogun Stadium. The junior bouts were for exhibition. This was aimed at catching them young and giving them the necessary exposure.
Go to the 57 local government. There are a lot of coming up boxers that need help.
In tennis, Daniel Medvedev became the highest-ranked player to exit the French Open after 5 sets, first round 7-6, 6-7, 2-6, 6-3, 6-4 defeat by Brazilian qualifier Thiago Ward, while Novak Djokovic was accused of fueling tensions with his political stance. With sports updates, Olumide Eguntola, NTA News.
And before we go, let's take a look at the weather picture for tomorrow.
Welcome to the weather forecast. Early morning thunderstorms are expected to affect parts of southern Adamawa, Taraba, Kaduna, Kebbi, Niger, FCT, and Plateau, leaving the remaining parts of the north and the north-central cities with patches of cloud with sunshine intervals. The southern parts of the country are expected to be predominantly cloudy during the morning hours, with prospect of thunderstorms later in the day across the region, extending to most parts of the north-central cities. Parts of Borno, Adamawa, Taraba, and Kaduna are also expected to be busy with thunderstorms activities. And that's where we conclude the weather forecast for Wednesday. I'm Sefia Senginusa. Thank you for watching.
And the weather report ends the network news tonight. Thank you so much for your time. I'm Elizabeth Omori.